under the call to relationship with God. And so every member in the church, we look at the pastor and we can put him on a pedestal, but the idea is we're all under the lordship of Jesus Christ. And so Jesus is the head and we're under that. So if you're in a position within the church, we don't want to put positions on a pedestal because it doesn't do good for us as a member, but also for the people that are in these positions. It puts an unrealistic expectation. So Jesus said the first and great commandment is to love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind. And I feel like this is a lifelong journey for us, learning how to love God that way. But I think where the first boundary needs to be discussed is let me ask you this, Sherry and Lou, where is your heart? Is your heart outside of yourself?
Wow, that's an interesting question.
So think about that for a minute. Where is your heart?
You know, it's interesting you say that because when the kids were little, I can remember standing outside waiting for them to get on the bus. And we were talking about God. How did we word that, Sherry? It was Jesus is in our heart. And one of the boys said, well, who's in Jesus' heart? And I got to thinking about it. I said, I guess we're in his heart. You know, so when you say, where's my heart should be in Jesus.
Yes.
You know.
Yes.
And that becomes the life force in me that drives me in a good way. Instead of being driven by the flesh, now you're driven with life.
Yes.
And it's empowering rather than exhausting.
Yes. Yep. It gives you what you need to be able to, because God doesn't call us to something and not give us what we need. Right. He gives us what we need, but we have a lot of distractions that pull us away. So the other thing that he talks about is the heart, the soul, and the mind, which all of those things are in Christ. But where's Christ? Spirit, internal, right? So what happens a lot in churches, and you guys correct me if I'm wrong, but we go about serving.
Oh, yeah.
And we connect service with loving God. And why that, serving is not wrong. We have to do that. But if we're not loving God internal from the heart, soul, and mind through time with Him, through a relationship with Him, then we're not serving Him out of that place. We're serving Him out of our own flesh, and that's what you're talking about.
Absolutely.
So first things first is we have to get the first and second commandment back in order. And we have to love God before we start loving people. In fact, I mean, can we effectively love people without loving God with all our heart, soul, and mind?
No, that's right.
So let me talk to you guys about this too, because I think we know we can't change or correct or make anybody outside of us do anything that they do not want to do. So we have to work on focusing on the things that we can control. But usually what happens is if we're not God pleasers, if we're not loving God with all our heart, soul, and mind, then there's only two other places we can be pleasing. Either self-pleasers or people pleasers. And so if we flip and we love people without loving God, then we're probably working at pleasing people. And do you think in that you would care so much about what people think?
Well, I find myself being in that position. Like I said, my gift is help and doing for others. So I find myself doing, and then I'm exhausted because, like you said, maybe I haven't spent the time with the Lord that I needed to. And I think about even like our relationship. If I go all day and I don't talk to Him, then I can't expect to have a good marriage.
Absolutely.
And so, I have to have time with the Lord. So like you said, so I can go out and, Lord, is this what you want me to do? If it's not, then I'll pull back or, because you can get burnt out in a hurry if you're trying to people please.
Absolutely.
So that's where I have to work. I find myself in that.
Well, and honestly, guys, I mean, do you think, I feel like these leadership roles in the church, we can't do it.
Right. No. That's right.
That's what's hard because you can't look at this like any other job.
Right.
because in your own strength and flesh, you can't do it. So having a calling on your life by God can only be done by His Spirit. And you won't do this perfectly. But here's the key. It's not about perfection. It's about relationship.
Right. That's right.
So when you do something that is out of line, then what are we called to do at that point? I need a drink.
Draw back into where you know that life comes from. I mean, it's just like we've talked about in the past, going back to your first love.
Yes.
And then that way you can love other people. And I've been there. I've been on my face in the garage going, God, why can't I love people? Well, you're not loving me the way I want you to.
Yes.
You know?
Absolutely.
Because it gets hard to love people sometimes.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Because there's challenges that we face. There's attacks, there's persecution, there's people, especially people that you would never expect to betray you, to turn on you. But I mean, the truth is, we know in following Jesus, that's going to be, but it's one thing to know it, and it's another thing to go through it and experience it. And I think all of us experience something for the first time, and it's hard because it really is hard, and you feel betrayed and you feel stabbed and so you've got to learn how to lean on Christ to be able to help you through those times, which is very challenging. So what we've got to do is become good repenters, learning how to get back on track with God, because just like you said, I've definitely misstepped and disobeyed God in times that became a very big challenge for me. But now I'm grateful for some of the discipline that we've gone through, and I've gone through for sure, to bring me back to Him and return to Him. So I think for us, the goal and the desire is we want to open up a door to where, look, we don't have it together, but God can grow us and develop us in His Spirit in such a way that we can operate in ministry out of love, joy, and peace from a place of rest. But we're not going to do it apart from our relationship with Jesus.